Alright guys, so we are out here in the beautiful mountains of Southern California. It's a really nice morning, maybe 65 degrees. And we are going to be looking for a very, very special animal today. It is California's only freshwater turtle. One of my favorite animals in the state. I know I say that about a lot of animals, but this one really is really special. And it took me a while to find my first one. They're not very common. Unfortunately, much like a lot of the species in California, it's been just decimated by, we'll talk about that more if we actually see one, but it's been largely wiped out by, human activity as well as introduced species and things like that. So, yeah, hopefully we'll see one. It seems like a pretty good morning to try. I think as long as there's a good amount of water where we're gonna go, we should have some good luck. So we'll see you when we get down to the canyon. It's gonna be about maybe a 3-mile or so hike. But I'm feeling pretty good about it. Alright, so we're at the bottom of the canyon now. Just literally got down here to the water, and it does look like there's enough water in here, so we should be good. And it's pretty sunny, so the turtles should be out. Nothing so far. This is the first little hole that I've checked, but I'm gonna go a little bit further down that way and see if we see anything down there. But it's looking pretty good so far, so we'll see if we see anything down here. So really what we're looking for when we're looking for these turtles here is something like, this size or bigger. They can be in pretty small little creeks, all the way up to larger ponds and, slow moving larger creeks. It doesn't seem like they like the super fast moving water. But we're just looking in the water for shells or heads poking out of the water. You're kind of just looking around. Sometimes with the moss, when the moss is real thick like that on top, it makes it a little harder, but you should still be able to find one down here. I'm gonna keep walking down here and see if we see anything. Alright guys, it's kind of hard to see and I have to be really quiet because these guys get spooked really easily. But if you look right over there on that rock, that is what we came down here for. I'm going to try to see if I can get a little closer. Either way, I'm going to try to get some, where'd he go? Some underwater footage. Looks like he's going back in the water. I'm not sure. Oh, there's another one right there. Holy crap. There's another one that just went in the water. Okay, let's see if we can get video back. Not sure if you can see him. Okay, I'm gonna try to get a little closer. These guys just get spooked so easily. So it is pretty difficult to get footage of these guys just because they spook so easily. But there is one right there. I'm not sure how well you're going to be able to see that. Yeah, it looks like it's not really showing up. It's kind of hidden under the weeds. But I'm still going to try to get some underwater footage. Where did he go on the camera? Right there. You can see a shell. Right there. You can see it moving. That is the Western Pond Turtle. California's only native freshwater turtle. Super cool. I've seen like 6 of them here so far. It's just so hard to get video of them. Let me see if I can get a little closer. I see these watermarks here on this rock from them going up and basking on it. Let's see if we can get a better view of one. Alright, so I've seen about 6 turtles so far, and I just worked my way down this creek and it's gotten a lot smaller. And I was hoping that I'd see one here in the more shallow area, but I think I'm just gonna, it's been about 10 minutes, 15 minutes, I'm gonna see if those other turtles back up there came back out and see if I can get some better video of them. It's definitely a good day for them. There's a lot of them out. This is probably the most I've seen in a day. So I'm gonna go back up there. I really want to be able to show the turtle because they are really cool, really pretty turtles. Like I mentioned before, they're only freshwater turtle that we have here in the state of California. So I'm just gonna work my way up and see if we can see any. Here's a cool little bycatch on the way back. 2-striped garter snake. It's another no-touch species, so I'm just gonna get the best video I can. See his tail there. His head somewhere under this algae. The second one I've seen today, but the other one just darted away. I couldn't get any video of it. Pretty cool little guy. He thinks that we can't see him. Anyway, just wanted to show you 2-striped garter snake. It's probably the last thing we'll see today. Alright guys, so unfortunately on this particular day I was not able to get any great footage of the turtles up close or underwater. You know, that's just the way it goes sometimes. Sometimes, you know, you get lucky and you see them in shallower water, they don't get spooked as easily, or they just, you know, there's just times where you can get closer for whatever reason. I don't know why, just the way it works out. But thankfully I did get some footage from a prior trip, and that's the footage you're about to see here. It was actually probably over a couple trips, but I was able to get both underwater and close-up footage. And filming these guys is just not easy. It never is. And you know, you'll see here that even this turtle's not aware of me at the moment. You'll see that as soon as he sticks his head up and he just gets a good look at me, he, you know, will just immediately bolt off into the vegetation and try to hide. That's just the way they are. They're you know, they know that if they don't act that way, that they will get killed by predators. They don't know that I'm not a predator, so that's just the way they are. So here in California, this is the only freshwater turtle, and it is broken up into 2 subspecies. There's the Northwestern Pond Turtle and the Southwestern Pond Turtle. The one here in this video is the Southwestern Pond Turtle. It lives from the Central Coast around the San Francisco Bay Area all the way into, you know, following the coast down into Baja California. I know I said before that it inhibits, you know, only small creeks, but upon further research, they do inhibit apparently rivers. I've never seen them living in, you know, larger rivers like that, so I was unaware of that. But you know, I can't imagine just the way that they are. They're living in anything that's very fast moving. So maybe slower moving, larger rivers, ponds, large ponds, definitely creeks, especially creeks that, you know, have pools that are deep. They really like those deep pools for swimming and foraging and all the things that they do. I've even read that they're found in brackish and sometimes even salt water. So I didn't know that either. These guys will, you know, just eat just about anything. Everything from aquatic plants, invertebrates, amphibian eggs, crayfish, and even carrion. You know, there's been many documented cases of them eating dead fish, dead frogs. Really, these guys will eat just about anything that they can get their mouths on, which, you know, I'm sure I'm sure it helps to be able to just eat anything. So it's definitely not the problem as far as their decline, that they're not able to find food. Females are larger than males, and they have speckled markings on their faces, and they have a flat or convex plastron, with males having a concave plastron, which is the part underneath the turtle, their bottom shell. And the species is generally around 3.5 to 8 inches, and I'd say the average one I see is around 6 or 7 inches. So they're a really relatively small turtle as far as especially if you look into like the invasive turtles that you see in California. This turtle is much smaller than like a red-eared slider or the soft shell turtles that you might see at the park, or even just introduced into the waterways of California. They do not they take a long time to reach sexual maturity, typically around 8 to 10 years old. And the months that they mate and lay their eggs, and the babies hatch, they vary and they overlap just because of their ranges. It's kind of probably just based off the weather and conditions as far as how much water is available and things like that. So generally they mate from April to May. They'll have 2 to 11 eggs from April to August, and hatchlings will emerge in late summer or fall. And especially when you work your way down the coast and you get to around the LA region, maybe LA Ventura area, and down south all the way into Baja California, those populations have very few breeding populations. You'll go to some of these locations and you'll see maybe plenty of adults, but the problem is that because of invasive species, they're not able to reach adulthood. So I guess that's a good time to talk about their major threats, which is really the one major threat is the either alteration of waterways in a few ways, either draining wetlands or altering wetlands, or dams, or altering the creeks. They're like the stream beds, ripping out vegetation, or any alteration really is not good for them. They really like natural, or they need natural, habitat. They don't really do well in altered habitat. And a lot of times in California, in Southern California, you'll see like channelized, you know, creeks and streams that have just been had concrete poured on the sides, and that just doesn't work for them. So that's a big problem. And the biggest problem, I'd say, is invasive species, because you'll go to some of these areas and you'll see plenty of adult turtles and no baby turtles, and that is mainly due to invasive species. And the biggest one is going to be the bullfrog, because the bullfrogs, they just have tons of babies, they grow up, they get big, and those bullfrogs will eat the baby pond turtles. And there's been many documented cases of people going out and collecting those invasive bullfrogs, cutting them open, and just finding these baby pond turtles inside. So really the bullfrogs, I think, is the biggest problem, because there's still areas where there is natural habitat where there are adult pond turtles, but you just don't see the babies, and that's typically due to the bullfrog. Sometimes fish, catfish, if they're there, anything that will eat the baby turtles and not allow them to grow up and live to that 8 to 10 year range to have their own young. That's really the biggest problem. So in these areas where there are invasive species and they are eating the young, these turtles, they will just get to a point where they're too old to breed, and there's no young to take their place. So once those adult turtles die off, there won't be any more turtles at a lot of these locations. And I'm afraid that is what is going to happen here, because I have never seen a young turtle here, at least not one that I could tell was young based off the size. I don't know if these turtles here are breeding anymore. That's just, yeah, it's too sad. So hopefully, something can be done about this in the future. I don't know what that might be, whether it's a combination of captive breeding and just trying to eliminate the invasive species by, physically going after them, or other means. I have no idea. But hopefully something can be done to save these turtles, especially in their southern range where they are becoming increasingly rare. But yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say for today. I hope you guys like this video of this very special turtle, and one of my favorite herps in all of California, and the only freshwater turtle in the state. So, see you guys next time.